can remember the last time that we spoke, or perhaps a couple of times ago. You mentioned the price of a burger or something in a fast food place, and I kind of balked. I was like, "What? What?" But in doing some research for this today, I discovered that fast food in general, fast food in the States is a lot cheaper than it is in Canada.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And it can be, but it also really isn't. I mean, we have things like, value menus or dollar menus or things like that, where you can get, a few items for 99 cents or $2. But like the average burger here, just if you buy the sandwich, is $4 to $9. And then a meal, which would include something fried, like fries, and a soda would be anywhere from, $8 to $12. So, we can even break that down, which I do, for my clients. It's like, you average that $10, say it's $10 a meal, and you go out with a family of four, you have, 2 adults and 2 kids. That's $30, for a fast food, say even the kids' meals are half that, but, so you're paying $30, you do that twice weekly, that's $60, like what $60 could buy you, even with inflation, that could buy you in the grocery store. I mean, you have meal after meal after meal, saving really, hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the course of a year. So, that cost isn't really quite the factor that we think it is. But what are the prices like so in Canada?
Oh, I mean, I can't give you any specific examples. I just know that they're a lot more expensive. I have that once a month indulgence. I'll go to an A&W and have one of their Beyond Meat burgers and fries and diet root beer. But I hide in the parking lot so nobody can see me eating it. But I see the prices and I was thinking, holy smoke, it's a lot more expensive up here. And I went on a couple of US websites today and was just looking at different prices, and it's substantially cheaper. But there are government subsidies on fast food, right?
Yeah. And I know there's some in Canada, but I'll give you some of the big ones in the US, which is probably a factor for bringing, and not probably, it is a factor for bringing the prices down to something that's affordable. So in 2020, the government here provided farms with $53 billion in subsidies and bailouts. So the subsidies are those benefits that are kind of given on an ongoing basis. And then the bailouts are things like COVID or a natural disaster or things, that like for emergency purposes, but $53 billion. And a lot of the crops or a lot of the commodities that they're giving these subsidies to are found in fast food: corn, soybeans, wheat, dairy, meat, sugar, oils. I mean, that is fast food, like right there.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. And it's not a little bit. So in 2018, 42% of revenue for US dairy products came from some kind of government support. 42%. Yeah. I mean, this isn't like, a little bit of, help or a little bit of support or a safety net. I mean, this is like almost half. So, we're buying cheese or we're buying milk and the government's buying, almost as much as we are. And so that really drives down the prices of fast food. So the research shows that this subsidization takes a Big Mac, from what it should be, which is $13 to $5.
Oh,
I mean, this is significant. Okay. And if you think about the, a fast food meal, it's the soda, right? You have corn syrup, the burger, it's like the meat is subsidized, the wheat for the bun, the cheese, anything fried in oil, that oil is subsidized, sugar for desserts, milkshakes. And then some of it's even double subsidized if you think about it, because like the feed, the corn is subsidized for the meat, and then the meat industry is subsidized. I mean, it's really artificially knocking these prices down.
But also, I mean, that only encourages a perilously dangerous or unhealthy diet. And you're getting taxed to subsidize that as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm paying for it whether I eat it or not, right? Because it's like my tax dollars. And, to your point about, making it really available is that, we have a program here called SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program,
Yep.
For low-income
Yep.
families. And about $15 billion of SNAP dollars go towards junk food. So, it's like we're driving these prices down, and then, these lower income families are spending their dollars on that, and it's like, it's one of those things, like I know some families, they do not have the luxury of, spending more money or shifting their expenses to, like buy like higher quality food or food that might be more costly. But a lot of us do have that luxury. And in my opinion, from a health standpoint, like you are either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. Like 80% of chronic illness is lifestyle related.
Yeah.
So, what we eat affects everything. I mean, everything. So, you can pay now or you can pay later, when you have to. So, and it's like, and in the meantime, it's like you pay for healthy, delicious food now and you feel great, or, you have that chronic illness and now you have to pay for treatment or surgery, et cetera. Like that's so negative, right? So we're going to pay one way or the other. And I mean, a whole nother, topic could be how our health is driving up, things like insurance rates and medical costs and things like that. So, I mean, that's a whole nother thing, we're all paying for everybody's, lack of health.
Well, we have the different healthcare system up here, so that the costs are pushed onto the government for all these unhealthy lifestyle choices, which brings me to another point that I was thinking about today, the whole idea of sin taxes. I think things like tobacco, alcohol should be taxed, things like that, because the people that indulge in these things will be hitting our health service further down the line, for sure, with complications from all sorts of health issues. But I've always felt that I've always liked the idea of there being a sugar tax. I mean, there are a lot of people. It's quite a controversial topic, because then that gets into the whole nanny state issue. I don't know if that term is something that's used very often in the US, but you hear a lot about that in both the UK and in Canada. And the libertarians lose their minds over the idea of people being taxed on anything, but particularly something like a sin tax on sugar.
Yeah. Well, they tried to do that in New York several years ago. They were actually trying to limit, it's sort of different. They limit the size of soda you could even buy.
Right.
Like they were going to allow the sale of sodas over a certain number of ounces, and it just did not fly. I mean, people are like, like it's the same thing. Like, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me, if I want to ruin my health, like that's up to me. And while that's true, you're right. The burden really does come back to all of us. So like, what is that? There's a lot of nuance there. There's a fine line there, but it's like, there's not that accountability on the individual, to take ownership for, the decisions you're making that are leading to these health, in this case, these health issues and illnesses and diseases that are, costly to all of us. And so, somebody like me, I mean, I definitely feel frustration, like not all the time, but every once in a while, I'm like, when I get my health insurance bill or when I want to go to the doctor, and I'm like, darn it, like I'm doing so many things right. And because all of these, things, all these people, all these decisions, all these availabilities, are where they're at, I'm paying the bill, right? I'm paying the price. And so it's frustrating, and I don't mind supporting my community. I don't mind, all for one for all, but like at some point, like, you are, this person is whatever, making these decisions that are like knowingly unhealthy. And so what is the repercussion for that,
That's a huge can of worms, that one there, for sure.
Oh God. I mean, moving right along.
You touched earlier on availability. And again, I think that's something that is quite important, because there are so many areas in Canada and in the UK that are veritable food deserts where you just don't have access to any fresh food whatsoever. There may be convenience stores that sell cigarettes, vapes, and ice cream, and that's kind of about it. And there are a lot of those places. But I think that's very sad that so many of these local stores have closed and fresh groceries, produce is just not available to so many people.
Yeah, we saw that, as the last year as we were traveling the US, and we were in a lot of rural communities. And I think, a lot of times we think of these food deserts or the lack of access to fresh food as these inner city, areas, these metro areas. And it's really it's both. It's these rural areas also where there might only be in the whole town one fast food place, not even a grocery store, not even a market. And so, where do you get, where do you, within 50 miles, 30 miles, 100 miles, that's pretty unreasonable, for some people to, to plan that. There's over 200,000 fast food restaurants in the US. So that's one for every, 1,200 people, every 1,600 people, there's one fast food restaurant. And then in Canada, it's about one for every 1,200.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be rushing to a fast food restaurant, a quick service restaurant anytime soon, but thank you for giving us your insights into the world of fast food. Have yourself a wonderful festive season, and we will see you on the other side.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jamie.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.